5555 Jacksonville.
Man, y'all know what time it is. T-Law got the eyes of Lee Van Cleef when he go in that field.
Checks it down underneath. That's a crossing route to Christian Kirk. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Christian Kirk to the goal line. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
They made a major mistake when they made T-Law go to the spirit of the sky to the oracle of the saber-toothed tiger, and the saber-toothed tiger now has the scepter in his hand, and he been to put every critic to rest. Man, last night I done marinated 2 turkeys. I got my cherry wood getting ready for my smoker. Just got off from work, off Pritchard Road. I'm going to bake me 2 Cornish hens. My special recipe, I call it a Mediterranean Cornish hen. I'm going to top it off with my homemade Long Island iced tea. And I'm only going to top it off with 1 red top of Coca-Cola. The Maxwell House coffee will live on forever. Duval!
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your host, Tony Smith.
Jamal St.
And Dylan Denmark.
We got them all in today. You know, Dylan, that's been a running theme this week. I was so sad on Monday when we opened up the show and it only had my name on it. I was like, oh, it's kind of like I just wanted to drift away from them. And it's like, oh,
I feel like
sad.
a loner.
Right. Like we usually have at least 2 names, if not 3 names there on the open. And then the next day, RJ had it figured out. We at least had Tommy. And as you heard there in the open, and as I've been talking about all week, Jamal St. joining me in studio. So thank you, Jamal.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. A lot of fun.
For making the time, buddy. I know we talk to you about once a week here for a while.
You know, we've been building up through the offseason. I earned my spot in the family, as you guys said. So, definitely a happy family, and I'm glad to hang out with you this morning.
Yeah, we're excited enough about having you in that we've made you the question of the day, pretty much. It's just like, give us your Jaguars questions for Jamal.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right. And see what crazy take I can come up with this morning.
Yeah, we'll get into some of those. I've already seen the few that have been sent in this morning early on, and they're good. And, you know, it's along the lines of stuff that we wanted to get into here on the show this morning anyway. Perfect. So we'll definitely get to that. It is the only few down weeks on the entire NFL calendar, right? Like we're in the middle of it, which is to say, do you think you have 2 hours in you on Hunter and Tootin signing rookie deals?
I think we can do it. Look, come on now. Tootin is perfect. I mean, he was the hype guy for a little bit in that running back room. We can go a full 2 hours just talking about this guy. I know our Virginia Tech folks out there, the few and proud, would be excited to hear that.
Yeah, that's one of those, the rookie contract stuff is at such a back burner issue in my mind now. Like, it's not exactly what's going on in Cincinnati with their guy.
That's different.
Right? Like, that's a real, I don't know when you're going to get that worked out. Ooh. Right? And it's pretty clear that they don't even know when exactly they're going to get that worked out. And I think the team, if you're not willing to just give them the same language that everyone gets at that point in the draft, then I can understand the player and his representation being like, why are you trying to change it up on me?
Right.
Right? Like, if you were worried about all the questions that everyone had about me, why'd you pick me?
He's in a tough spot, too, because what do? I know people have been saying, well, he technically could sit out this whole season. Well, I can't imagine you're going to be a first-round pick again, just the way the NFL works, if you sit out this entire season.
Not with all the questions about him, too.
He already had the questions, the production questions. He was a crazy athlete, but if he sat out the whole season, he's going to cost himself millions of dollars. So he's in a tough spot. And everybody's kind of freaking out, wondering if he's going to sign, when he's going to sign.
Right.
That's why when people were asking about Travis Hunter's contract before he signed, I kept saying, I was like, it's such a back burner issue. I'm not worried about it. Let me know like a week before training camp if he hasn't signed.
Right. Like, it's a potentially more complicated one because of what Hunter can do.
Sure.
But the NFL has even made all of that simple. It's like, well, he's the second pick. This is what the second pick's going to get paid. Yep. On this contract. We can fool around a little bit with some of the language and the signing bonus, right? Like, that's where they can do anything with any of these guys, and that's where they did. Like, I was with you. Like, it was never an issue to me. It's like, well, he's going to sign the deal. He's here working out. He's in the building every day. Like, there's no issue with whether or not he wants to be here and be a part of this. Right. It's just a matter of timing with it. To a point where when I saw the Jags send out that Tootin sign yesterday, I was like, oh, I didn't know he hadn't signed.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they've taken care of it to the point it's not like you said, Cincinnati, he's not working out. He's just there.
Yeah.
And all the Jags guys have been working out. And to your point about there's no question that Travis Hunter wanted to be here. I don't know if anybody's seen him around Jacksonville not in Jaguars gear.
Right.
Every picture I've seen of him hanging around the city, he's been in some sort of Jaguars gear, whether it's a hat, whether it's the shirt. He has definitely taken the brand to heart for sure and owned it.
No doubt. Talking about Travis Hunter, the excitement around that guy is obviously, sky high. The Jags haven't had exactly that kind of, they haven't had the entire league is kind of hyped about it, guy. You have it a little bit with Trevor Lawrence because it did feel like winning the lottery, right? When they were the team that was ultimately going to land him. But even the league then was just like, why couldn't it be the Jets, right? Like that's kind of how the league was reacting to it. And they were coming at it from angles like, well, he's never going to make any of the sponsorship money and all these kinds. It's like, all right, guys, if y'all still think the NFL was the 1970s NFL and guys in smaller towns can't make big money, I mean, it's a shame Patrick Mahomes landed in Kansas City. Like it's like they don't even see their own league. And I'm not saying that Jacksonville isn't obviously the smallest fish in the pond from an NFL perspective, but some of the takes people still have about it get silly at times. But the Jags they've not really had this, right? Nobody's had this.
This might be the most hype for one single player, at least that I've seen for the Jags in a long time, if ever. Yeah. Travis Hunter has brought the attention. He's brought the hype. I rember the Trevor Lawrence hype, but even here in Jacksonville, the hype just feels different. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but it just feels it doesn't feel the same. I know people were excited about Trevor, and there was a ton of hype. No doubt. But this Travis Hunter, it just feels like it has a whole nother gravity to it.
Well, and they've done nothing to slow it down.
Right.
And good on the Jags for not doing that. Like when the GM's going to stand in front of a microphone and say he can change the game. Right? Like when he's going to be the guy that's up there, he can change the game. Like the game every now and then has to change, and this is the guy that's going to be a part of doing that. Those kind of players don't come around very often. And so from that kind of perspective, you've had whatever opportunities you've had to be around Travis. Right. And I know the opportunities are limited because you can only be out there so much. Right. They don't let us out there for every practice. But what has the early experience of covering all things Travis Hunter been like here in the few weeks that you've had the opportunity to see him? You
can tell he just has this energy about him. Every time, often you hear like James Gladstone or Liam Cohen, they talk about the endless amount of energy that this guy has. And you see it the second you're watching him out there. I don't know if there's a second at a practice that I've been at where he stopped moving. Mm-hmm. It's either he's doing the drill or he's dancing. There is no in between for this guy. But the entire time he's on the field, he's going. Yeah. But when he gets out on the field, and it's his turn for the rep, it's never that he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. I've seen the people yelling at online, oh, he needs to focus on football. He's focused. To the point where I talked to Foye Oluwakin toward the end of minicamp. Mm-hmm. And I just asked him about Travis Hunter, and he said, with the guy going both ways, one of the things he thought that was possible was that you'd see him making mistakes. He said, as far as he can tell, Travis goes out there, knows his assignment. He hasn't made mistakes on defense. He doesn't believe he's made many on offense. But that's a cosign from a guy who's about his business. Yeah. About as business as you get. Just about a coach on the defense for the Jags, on the field on the defense. So when you got Travis Hunter who can do all of that, but then when he steps on the practice field, knows exactly his assignment. They're asking him to learn a lot of stuff, and he's clearly retaining the information, at least so far. Those are good signs. He just looks natural out there. I was super impressed with the way, just how natural the game comes to him on defense as a corner. He goes from playing on wide receiver for a couple of reps, rips off the jersey, jumps in there on defense, and just naturally transitions to corner flawlessly. So I think the hype is living up to it. Now the pads still got to come on, right? But I'm impressed. I don't know if you can watch him and not be.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Did you get a chance to see this month's episode of the EV podcast that they posted yesterday, right, where they had all three of them in there, right? So they had Big Bo, and they had Coach Cohen, and they had Gladstone in there as well. And I thought them talking about Travis Hunter was, again, it never is boring to me. listening to any of these people talk about Travis Hunter and what he can potentially do, but talking about those exact kind of things. Like, you kind of marvel at it when you see it. It's, how is he not tired? You know, and there's going to be, at some point, you would expect at some point there's going to be, well, it's funny, Dylan just got back from vacation up in Colorado, and the first thing he said to me basically when he walked back in the office is like, man, that altitude, how did Hunters do this? Right? Like, it's crazy, the athlete that he is. And like the Trevor, I think it's similar to the Trevor Lawrence thing in this regard, when people talked about Trevor Jacksonville, when's he going to do X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
You know, and they were worried about all these other things. And the first time that you have the chance to talk to Trevor, it's like, none of that stuff matters, right? Like, none of that stuff is all that big to him.
Right.
He's just like, this is fine. I like kind of the small town thing. Like, it fits him to be in a place like Jacksonville, which is not really a small town. We're like the biggest city now in the state.
Yep.
Right, population-wise, but it is so spread out that we feel like we're 8 small towns jammed into a city.
Yeah.
Right, is what Jacksonville feels like. So it depends on where you're at with any of that stuff. And I think the Hunter thing is similar from the perspective of he is his own walking brand, so he doesn't need anybody to add to it.
He doesn't.
Right? And beyond that, what he wants to do when he's not playing football is fish.
And you can do that here.
Right. Like, it matches him perfectly.
Oh, this was a match made in heaven. I mean, from a personality standpoint, with the leadership, the location. Yeah. I mean, back home in Florida, I don't know if there was a better spot for him in the league, really.
Yeah. He would have been good anywhere.
Yeah.
But there weren't nowhere would be better than Jacksonville.
No.
Right? Like, anyone who tries to make the argument where he could have gone anywhere and he'd be fine. It's not like he couldn't find what he wants to do in those places, but Jacksonville fits what he kind of wants to do and be perfectly. Yeah. And I think it does speak to the excitement that we saw on draft night from him, that he was like, yeah, I had a feeling this might happen, you know, and then the excitement comes up and, you know, he's finding the logo in the hallway and he's doing the whole thing. And as you said, every time we see him, he's wearing the logo.
He is. And it's just natural. It's not forced either. No. This is clearly who he is, how he is. And also think about the brands where he chose to play his college football.
Yeah.
He went to Jackson State with Deion. Now, obviously, he was following Coach Prime a little bit, but Jackson State wasn't exactly a brand known for winning a bunch of games. He was
the number 1 recruit in the country.
Number 1, could have went anywhere. Yeah. Chose to go there and kind of take a different kind of path and bring winning to that program.
Yep.
And then same thing with Colorado. They chose to go there. He could have transferred again anywhere.
Yep.
And chose to go to Colorado with Coach Brime, with Shadur, and bring winning to that program that had really struggled for a long time. So he enjoys that challenge. And I mean, I know he's been asked a ton about, you know, what's it going to be like being a Jaguar. I brought winning everywhere I've gone, you know. So and that's the truth. He has everywhere he's gone. He's helped to change that culture. He helped to change the energy, and really brought that. And I mean, that's part of the hope, is that some of that energy that we see from him is infectious around the locker room, around the team, and helps to bring that out there, bring that spark that this team's been looking for a long time.
Yeah, it'd be a surprise if it doesn't. Right? Like, what exactly the effects of that are going to be. It'd be a surprise if it doesn't have a ripple effect on the roster. The Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day, asking you to send us your questions for Jamal St. sitting in with us today for the show. So we'll get to some of those as we go through the program. Welcome back home, Dylan. How was Colorado?
It was amazing. That high altitude is no joke. You know, the whole time you hear about it, you're like, what's that really mean? I found out in a quick game of basketball, playing about 5 minutes, and you're out of breath.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, mountains were cool. So Otani hit a home run. I saw David Tell Saturday night. He crushed. So it was fun, but I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, David Tell. That's kind of cool. You got to go up there and see that too. That's fun. The traveling around the country. I know I've done like the family vacations every now and then. We go up to North Georgia. Yeah. Go up in the mountains. So you're at higher altitude, but I will say the Rocky Mountain altitude is it's a different kind of animal.
Yeah, that's different. I've been at this altitude like my whole life. So I visited Denver once, and I got those altitude headaches real quick. I was trying to find some aspirin or something.
Yeah. I deal with that too when the Super Bowl was out in Arizona, and we went out there for it. I was like, man, Can there be a little moisture in the air somewhere?
None.
Right? Like, I'm
Just
used
heat.
to walking when I leave this building. It's like I got to walk through the pool to get to my car, right? Like, that's what it's like to live in Jacksonville, Florida. And up there, it was just like, man, there's nothing in the air.
Nothing. I got cousins that live in Phoenix, and they love it. And I've gone out there and visited them, and I'm like, I can handle the heat. I've done this heat my entire life in the South. Like,
different.
I got out there, and all I could think was, I need to find shade. I need a shade tree. I don't know what we're doing. My cousin was playing baseball. I'm like, how do y'all play sports in this?
Yeah, the breeze doesn't matter.
No.
Like around here, the breeze starts blowing. It's like, oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
Right? Like, but when you go out there and you got no humidity
like
there, the
being in an
breeze
oven.
blows and you're just like, no.
Yeah, and you don't sweat when it's 100 degrees. I found that out right when I got there on Saturday. We were like throwing the ball around on a turf field, and I'm like tired, but I didn't sweat. No. That made no sense to me whatsoever. Like,
just baking.
right. Like, do I need a shower still? Like, I'm not sweaty.
Yeah,
but-
you just stepped into the oven. You
Yeah.
didn't know it, for a little while. And it's like they complain about down here. It's like, no, this is so much better.
No, give me the humidity.
Yeah, just give me
every day.
I don't need it to be 90% all the time, but give me a little bit
Something.
of moisture in the air is not necessarily a bad thing. We'll get into it today with Jamal St. Take a look at some of your questions for him. I think when we return, we'll talk about what you have seen in the offseason so far, maybe some of the guys that have stood out for you, impressed you to this point in the offseason workouts that you've seen, even from the front office. Obviously, a brand new direction for the football team as well. So we'll
Big
talk
shift.
about some of those things as we get into it today with Jamal St. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Now, Studio Talk with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
You look great, Grandpa.
So you're that guy.
There's always one.
Right up till there's not.
The Drill.
Shame you have to leave so early. You really are the life of the party.
Mornings on 1010 XL.
Hey, John, have you seen the exciting 2025 lineup at Rainy Marion Cadillac?
They've got the Lyric, IQ, Optique, and the stunning Vistique. It's a Cadillac lover's dream.
And the best part, over 100 new Cadillacs are in stock and ready for you to drive home today.
Plus, it's the perfect time to trade in your Tesla and experience luxury performance like never before.
Visit us today at Rainy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard in Jacksonville.
Don't miss out on these incredible vehicles. Your new Cadillac awaits.
Tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Registration is now open for the Circle K Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament. With over $450,000 in cash and prizes, fun starts on July 13th with the inaugural Kickoff Beach Tournament that has a $50,000 cash first place prize. There's also a junior offshore tournament and one for the lady anglers. Best of all, the winner of the general offshore tournament takes home a Contender 28T with twin Yamaha 200s. Register today at kingfishtournament.com.
Jaguars Today Thursday is hitched to Cannons of Jacksonville for all your towing needs.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, is thrilled to announce you can get all of their flavors and original vodka at PJ Liquors in St. Augustine. PJ Liquors, since 1999, has been serving up summertime fun. Now enjoy Brackish Vodka, the #1 local vodka in North Florida. Brackish Vodka is the first clean craft vodka, and you can find their 9 flavors at PJ Liquors. Brackish Vodka, for whatever your sport is. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Soft takes are boring. That's why I dropped the hammer on the Frangie Show. I'm Hayes Carlion. Listen for Hammer Time with Hayes, weekday afternoons on 1010XL.
Hammer Time with Hayes, driven by Kia on Atlantic.
Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacks Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach or visit apexroofingfl.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Hey, it's Frank Frangie. Look, when it comes to glass needs around the home, there's one name I trust, Lee and Kate's. It's local, family-owned, and they've been part of our community since 1926. They've taken great care of me over the years, and I know they'll do the same for you. Visit LeeandKatesGlass.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Jacksonville is full of memorable sports moments. Remember Hal Sutton when he famously said, "Be the right club today"? Well, that's what Coil Fencing delivers. The right fence today. And they've been delivering the right fencing for both commercial and residential properties for nearly 100 years. If you're in the market for a new fence, call Coil & Sons today at 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
Hi folks, Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Ever wonder what to do with leftover paint that you don't want? Here's a few options. Paint can be placed in the regular trash if it's dry. Simply stir in kitty litter to a thick consistency. Then wait a few days with the lid off till it dries. Also, if the paint is good, there's many charities or churches that would love to have it. If you'd like more tips or have a project, we'd love to help. Go to performance-painting.com. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
If you're 35 to 75, you could get life insurance today. No medical exam needed. I'm Cody with Harborstone Financial. One call could protect your family for life. Call me today, 904-885-9566.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Tony Smith, Jamal St. Cyr joining us for the show today. Mike Dempsey on assignment. He'll be back with us on Monday, just in time for the short week next week, leading up to the 4th of July holiday next Friday, when we'll all be off. Dylan Denmark back after a 3-day vacation. You were there all weekend, I assume, too.
Yeah, I left here Saturday morning, so I was there. I fly in, leave Jax at 6, and I got to Denver at 9:30 their time. Mountain time zone's a little different, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your 5-hour flight is only 3 hours on your watch.
Right.
Yeah, kind of thing. And then you come home, and it's like, where'd the time go?
Yeah, I'm like, I can fly here, leave Denver at 6, and I can come to Atlanta and get Chick-fil-A. No, it'll be lunchtime. I can't get breakfast.
We mentioned before the break there, Jamal, wanted to ask you about, based on what you've been able to see to this point in the team's offseason, which is now done. We're getting ready for training camp here in a few weeks. Yeah. Who impressed you the most based on what you were able to see?
Impressed the most is tough. I always try and take this time of year with a grain of salt. I mean, they're in shorts. It's the off season. So it's only like so much that you can do. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a handful of guys that caught my attention. I mean, I think Tank Bigsby looks great for what it is. I think Tank Bigsby is a guy who has a shot at having a real role in this backfield. I know everybody was so quick. We were talking about Tootin earlier to kind of flush the guys that were here and move on. But maybe we need to hit the pause button a little bit on that. Also in that running back room, LaQuint Allen, I think that 7th-round pick is going to be a steal for the Jaguars. He's a guy who's looked really good, just catching passes, and he's really comfortable out there on the field with what he's been able to do so far. Eli Pankel, undrafted free agent at wide receiver. I think he's got a shot to make the roster. He's looked good so far to me as well. I think there's a handful of them on that defensive side of the football, too, that have really just looked comfortable. I think Tyson Campbell looks as comfortable as I've ever seen him and looks like he's in really good shape. I mean, the question for him the past couple of years is, can the hamstrings hold up?
Yeah.
But he looks as good as I've seen in my time here covering the Jaguars. So I think Tyson Campbell's another guy to keep an eye on. There's a couple of guys, like I was really hoping that one of these guys would be Caleb Ransaw, that I'd say that I saw it. But toward the end of the offseason program, you could start seeing the flashes of the light coming on. So I think he's heading in the right direction. Position change for him. He's a guy who I think has a shot at earning maybe a starting job, or at least to compete for one during training camp. And I think he's on that right trajectory that during training camp, we should see him start getting a little bit more comfortable playing his better football. So just a handful of guys out there. I'm not going to mention any like the O-line or D-line guys just because,
they're not hitting yet.
They're not hitting yet. Those guys, if I call out an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman right now, I'd be lying to myself. Come on now.
Right. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in this point in the offseason with the things that they're doing. You're going to see the skill players.
Yeah, that's it. They're playing in shorts. It's it's football, but there's no contact, so you got to see. Every year, I feel like there's some guy on every team that becomes like this off-season darling. Oh, he's so great. Look at this. Look at all the things he's done. And then training camp comes around, they put the pads on, and the guy disappears. And back when they had rounds of cuts, he was the first one gone.
Yeah, I think it's fun. Like Tuesdays we do our top fives.
Okay.
Right. And this week, last week we did top 5 starting positions that will be open, like the competition most open.
Yeah.
When we get into training camp. And we had a bunch of people that were texting into the show while we were talking about those things with like, well, who's going to be the second tight end? Like those kind of questions. Like, we'll get to it. Right. So this week for the top 5, I did top 5 roster battles, that kind of thing, essentially guys that are competing to make the roster.
For sure.
Kind of thing. And a lot of what you just touched on feeds directly into that kind of thing. I think the Ransaw thing is very interesting. And one of the guys that I had on my top 5 was Darnell Savage as to whether or not he even makes the roster.
Man.
And I think how quickly Ransaw picks up safety answers that question in a lot of ways to me. Is Ransaw actually ready to make the transition from corner to safety? And we feel good putting him on the field in those kind of positions. If we're comfortable doing that, then we can move off Savage. But until we get to that point, I don't think they're going to be comfortable making that decision.
Safety is going to be a savage battle. Look at the guys that they have on the roster at safety. You figure Eric Murray's going to make it, right? And you figure somehow, some way, Ransaw is going to be on the roster. But you also spent a draft pick on Rayon Lane, who they drafted him for special teams prowess. So more than likely, he's going to make the roster. So you got 3 spots locked up just about right there.
Right.
And then we haven't even mentioned Andrew Wingard, who has been, he's the mainstay. This guy is always on the roster, always seems to be competing for snaps, playing a role on the defense. Somehow, some way, he's going to be in the conversation late.
Yeah.
Antonio Johnson is a guy who's flashed at times, maybe. I think the ceiling's there. He still needs to work on some stuff. But at the very floor, he was a guy who was earning reps on special teams. So, again, he's in the conversation from, like, Coach Farwell's like, well, I can use this guy if y'all don't want him. So, Antonio Johnson's a guy who's going to be in the conversation one way or another, and he's just physically different than most of the other guys in the room. Daniel Thomas, another special teams stalwart in Jacksonville, who has to be in the conversation. Then you still throw in Savage. Safety is one of the most, there's going to be a tough cut there if they don't make a move or make a trade somewhere along the line at safety when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear Eric Murray is going to be the starting strong safety.
Lock him in.
Right, like for the football team. I think free safety is open at this point, but I think it's open with can anyone catch Wingard? Right, it's the way that it feels to me.
Yeah.
Right now in the competition right now, and I think the guy that they want to have catch him is Ransaw.
Got to be. It's got to be.
Like that's what they want to see happen.
They're going to give him every opportunity to get that starting job.
Absolutely, which is I think part of the Savage thing is he's played in this defense before, So maybe that gives him some kind of opportunity to stick around a little bit more. But you have to figure it out with these other guys. Like, I don't know what the math is going to be ultimately on a guy like Rayon Lane versus Daniel Thomas.
Yeah.
Right? Because it does feel like Lane could potentially replace what you get from Daniel Thomas on special team, though Thomas is, we check the tape with logs every Tuesday, and every now and then it'll come up, he's like, Daniel Thomas stud. Like on special teams, just stud. So can you, I don't think that's easy to replace. It's easier to replace that than it is starting free safety.
Right.
Like there are different roles that you need from different guys. And is Rayon Lane, as high as your expectations might be for him as a special teams player, how good does he have to be for you to be like, well, now we can move on from Daniel Thomas?
He's going to have to be very good. I mean, the one thing is that at least that's the expectation, is that he's going to be able to come in and do some of those things, but what you're going to get from DT when he steps on the field as a special teamer in the NFL. Lane's never done it before, so there's a little bit of a projection there, but that also does play in Lane's favor when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. You know exactly who DT is when it comes to if he needed to fill in at safety on defense.
He's been fine.
He's fine, but with Lane, there's a projection there, so that plays in his favor on that side, where if there did come to a spot where he had to get some snaps on defense, maybe he could develop into something. Maybe he could turn into a guy if you feel decent about him there. So I think there's going to be there's definitely going to be a tough cut at that safety spot. It's going to be tough. DT's going to be fighting for his job for sure, but Lane's going to have to earn it and take it from him, which isn't going to be easy. But if we believe what Gladstone has said up until this point is that he wants to let these young guys play, well, that opens the door for these young guys to get on the field, which means you got to get some of the veteran players that are clogging up, log jamming it out of the way. And that's not to say that DT's done anything wrong. DT's been great in the locker room, been great on the field for the Jaguars. But, that's the nature of the business, is that at some point they'll go with that younger, cheaper option.
Yeah, they're not. And part of the Savage conversation is, too, they've already shown they're willing to make a decision when they feel like it's the right decision to be made. They're not worried about dead money. Like, that's just not a real factor for them. I think for a long time, that's been something that fans have talked about with guys. Well, we can't cut him because of this. And this group right now has made it very clear in this offseason, they're not worried about that. No. If they feel like it's time to move past Savage, they're going to move past Savage. And I think the real key in that is going to be, is Ransall ready to play free safety?
I agree with you.
And we'll see. And like you said, just talking about what you're seeing out there and waiting for it to kind of click, it may have felt like it did a little bit late, in the offseason work, but training camp's a different animal.
Yeah.
So we'll see with a lot of these questions we have, especially along the lines of scrimmage. And we can talk about our expectations for guys along the offensive and defensive line, but that's all we have to run on right now is whatever our expectation is. Nothing has happened to this point that we can say this significantly changed the way I feel, outside of the head coach 2 weeks ago being willing to say, when he wants to turn it on, he could turn it on.
Right.
Like, that's been the most interesting offensive line thing that's been said about any of these guys in this whole process, and we'll see what that ultimately means for Anton. We just don't know.
No, we got to kind of wait and see. Back to Ransall real quick. I did talk to one of the safeties coach for the Jags a couple of weeks ago, and he said that the shift is a little bit, it's different from not just where he's seeing on the field, but also from the vocal standpoint. At corner, you kind of just see your spot and you don't have to talk as much because you're just kind of doing your job.
Right.
But as the safety, you're almost like, you see the whole picture. You have to be echoing the calls and doing the communication for the defense. That's why so many of those safeties in the league are those leaders on defense.
Right.
Similar enough to like your middle linebacker, like you want your Foyer to be the green dot guy. If it's not that linebacker, a lot of times it's the safety who can see everybody. So Ransall was trying to catch up on some of the communication and trying to get there from that standpoint on the field too. But they said he was making progress and they liked what they had seen so far. And you could kind of start seeing that light come on out there on the field.
Like, it's still new.
Yeah.
So we'll see exactly what that's going to ultimately look. They have a plan for what they want it to be with him, but there are things you have to learn.
Right.
It is a different skill set to play safety than it is corner because the responsibilities are different.
Right.
So it's not that you're not physically able to do it. We know that physically you ought to be able to handle playing that position, but it's not corner.
No.
Right. And there are going to be other responsibilities that a safety is going to have that a corner just isn't going to have. It's not exactly the same thing. Let's get out to the phone lines for the first time this morning. Steve in Melbourne has dialed us up at 641-1010. What's going on this morning, Steve?
Hey, how you guys doing this morning?
Good.
What's going on, Steve?
Before I ask my question, since Tony, you mentioned North Georgia earlier, me and my family are heading up to near Helen, Georgia.
Yeah.
How is that area?
Yeah, that's exactly where we went.
Yeah, beautiful up there.
But my main question is, and it was brought up about receivers and everything. I've watched different media shows, and do you guys see the potential to where TJ and Travis Hunter could be a top wide receiver duo, such as Higgins and Chase, or a Jefferson and Addison? I mean, you could even say Pickens or Lamb in the NFL.
I think it's different, right? And this is something that we've gotten into a little bit more. We talked about it on Friday on the show. I think Tommy and I got into a little bit yesterday too. I look at it because we had a caller on Friday, Jamal, who was saying, are they our new Jimmy and Keenan?
Yeah.
Right? And they are, but they're not that.
Right.
Right? It's a different kind of build, and it's even different than certainly what Cincinnati has with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It's different, right? Like Higgins would be a number one on a lot of teams that he would go to. That doesn't mean he's a number one in the league.
Right.
Right? The Jags have the potential to have two number ones on their roster. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the potential they have, but they're not Jimmy Keenan. And I thought the comparison that we finally landed on was actually a pretty good one. It lands in my mind. It's the Rams. It's Isaac and Torrey, right? Where you have two guys that they're not we have to have completely different styles. We can put them any formation, anywhere we want, and you can't deal with it.
I like that.
Right? It's not the Jimmy Keenan thing where Keenan owned the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Short routes, he owned it. Right? And Jimmy was the guy that was just going to blow your doors off.
Right.
And he was big. He's tough to tackle. Everything that Jimmy was. And he deserves all the props for that. This isn't that. No. It's something else. But I do think the Rams comparison is the one that feels most likely to me. It's where we got two ones that can put them everywhere, man. Deal with that.
Yeah, look, I think there's definitely the potential there. I mean, we've already seen what BT is and what BT can be out there on the field. And honestly, I don't even know if we've scratched the surface on just how good this guy is going to be now that you got a coaching staff that's willing to move him around and play matchup football rather than just say, here he is, what you going to do?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see an even better Brian Thomas this upcoming season. Plus, you add in Travis Hunter, and we've seen how dynamic he can be at the college level at receiver. And if he lives up to that potential at receiver, you're right. Where you've got guys that can go and do anything they need to out there on the football field and be dynamic and be a number one on any given football team. I think they do. I think you're right. I love that comparison. Greatest show on turf. That was one of my favorite teams. Marshall Faulk in the backfield. Come on now.
Yeah. I'm not sure that they got their Faulk. But
maybe we'll talk about Tootin a little bit.
Yeah, we can talk about what they might be able to get out of the running game. It's obviously a priority for them. They're willing to say it. Like, they're not shy about saying it. We got to run the ball better. We got to get the offensive line better. They were willing to spend a third-round pick on him, so it certainly feels like this is more their guy. Tootin's he's going to be their guy at some point in the process. It's just a matter of how quickly in the process that's how it turns out.
When I heard James Gladstone say that he came in on the interview and there were a list of day 3 guys that he presented to them as a part of the process, and Tootin was one of them, I said, well, I got to at least wait and see what the product is, because if you felt strongly enough to bring this in as part of your interview package, hey, here's my day 3 targets that I think can help out a football team, and then you go and get the guy on day 3.
Yeah.
And he's blazing fast. He's pretty big. I mean, at some point, I'm gonna say, okay, well, if we like Gladstone and we believe in what he's trying to build, and so far everything he said, I don't think he's lied to us yet. No. So I look at it and say, all right, well, if you clearly believe in this guy enough that you interviewed with him, he was part of your package, your pitch of why they should hire you, and then you go and get him, so you followed it up. I want to see what he does. I'm willing to wait and see on Tootin. I know everybody kind of hit the panic button when he fumbled that snap during OTAs, which is not a great sign because there's not a ton of contact.
Right.
But I think everybody kind of has to take a deep breath, and we'll wait and see once the pads come on, because for running back, I mean, it's like it's the same thing for offensive line and D-line. When there's no contact, there's quick whistles. It's tough to really tell how much juice a guy's got until they get going.
Well, and there's two things in my mind that running backs are going to be judged on. It's really two things. All of them are athletes.
All of them.
Really, all of them can run. All of them can catch well enough to do whatever they're going to be asked to do, basically, in the NFL. Do they protect the ball?
Yep.
Can they pick up the blitz?
Yeah.
And if you're exceptional at those things, if the ball doesn't leave your hands once it hits him, you're in good shape. And if you're the guy that they can trust when they put you on the field, the quarterback's not getting hit by the guy that he's supposed to. That's a big deal, which is the kind of path for whatever kind of impact Allen's going to be able to make this year is a fascinating path. Because,
that's where he shined in college.
Right. He is, right now, I would say he's the best pass protector at running back on the roster. And we'll see what exactly that means for the opportunities for him. Want to talk about, you mentioned Gladstone and some of the things that they've done in this offseason. Let's talk about, I think it's difficult at times to figure out exactly how to judge success for a GM necessarily in year one, but let's talk about some of the things that, if they did happen, it points to that him having been a success, right, in his first year as a general manager here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll continue with Jamal St. Sears. We continue along. It's a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today here on 1010 XL.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Firehouse Subs has fries. Their hometown hero since '94 just cranked up the heat. Hot subs, crispy fries, golden, pillowy on the inside, and perfectly seasoned. Over 30 Jacksonville locations. Firehouse Subs, homegrown and now with fries.
The middle of your workday sure isn't boring when you share it with XL Primetime.
Boy, you don't know how glad we are to see you guys.
Joe C., Matt Hayes, and Leon.
The dream team, baby.
Friends and sports talk.
Can we talk?
Afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner with honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
Man, I can't wait for Saturday. I'm going to the Jacksonville Axemen Rugby League game. They're playing the Southwest Florida Copperheads, and it's going to be good.
Rugby league is crazy. No pads or helmets. No, that's a real contact sport. Count me in.
Join the ratified credit union Jacksonville Axemen as they take on the Copperheads at the UNF Turf Field this Saturday at 7. Tickets start at $10 and kids under 12 are free at jacksax.com.
Jaguars Today Thursday is towed by Cannons of Jacksonville.
Mia here, and I love my custom closet from Closets by Design. With summer in full swing, having my warm weather wardrobe front and center is a game changer. No more digging for the right outfit on a hot day. If your home needs a summer refresh, whether that be a closet, a garage, or a pantry, schedule a free in-home consultation with Closets by Design. And the offer has been extended, folks. Receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off. And free installation on any order of $750 or more. Visit closetsbydesign.com.
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays around 3:20 for the latest in sports injuries. From all the big names in the game, who's MIA, who's coming back from injury. Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays at 3:20.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold's recently hit an all-time high at over $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
What is the most populated city in the world? The answer next.
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
With a population of an astounding 37.7 million people, Tokyo, Japan is the most populated city in the world.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hey, Hicken here, and you know I'm going to talk about skin. Yeah, it's hot outside, folks. The oven is on. Temps are in the 90s, and it's only getting hotter. I love the summer, but my skin doesn't. I do my best with dry-fit shirts, big floppy hats, plenty of water. My secret weapon, though, the screen. Sunscreen. I use it regularly. Maybe you should as well. Look, I've also been seeing docs at Peaches Dermatology for years, and my skin thanks me for it. I'm telling you, it could save your life. Book your appointment today at peachesdermatology.com.
Are you struggling with hair loss? At IHRS, we understand because we've been there too. We're dedicated to finding the best solution tailored just for you.
My hair looks great. It was thinning, and IHRS restored my hair.
It's now fuller, it's thicker, voluminous. It's made me feel great.
With the latest technology and FDA-approved laser therapy, PRP, and non-surgical hair addition, we offer guaranteed solutions for men and women.
With over 35 years of experience, IHRS found a hair restoration for us, and we can find one for you.
For me.
For me.
And me too.
Visit hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. Get a free microscopic analysis and get to the root of your problem. This $395 analysis is yours for free. Call 904-777-4477 now.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise in towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
June is Men's Health Month, and here's your reminder to be proactive and get screened for early detection at Ackerman Cancer Center. Many cancer instances are largely preventable and treatable. So take steps now to minimize your risk factors at AckermanCancerCenter.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Tony Smith, Jamal St. Dylan Denmark here with you. Our question of the day, just asking you to send us your questions that you have about the Jaguars for Jamal St. Cyr. And I mentioned before the break, how do we judge a GM, right, and success or failure in anything, really, until the team winning or losing is going to tell you a lot, ultimately about how to judge the success or failure for Gladstone here in year one. But as we're getting ready to go into the season, he's done basically what he's going to do with the roster. There may be little tweaks, coming from time to time here, and they got to make decisions on the 53, but even that's going to be more coaches than GM,
right?
Making those decisions. So how do you think, if we're projecting to the end of the season, what are kind of the barometers based on the plan that they had to decide whether or not he was successful with the plan that he put in year one?
I think a big part of it's going to be the temperature that we feel on the rookies, the ones that did play, the ones that didn't play, where you feel about that potential for that rookie class going into next season. Another small part of it will be some of these free agents. Free agency was different than most of the free agencies the Jaguars have had in a long time.
Yeah.
Previously, they were always the big spender. He went more of a frugal route and went for, as he called them, floor raiser guys. They raised the floor of the football team. So it's going to look at how a guy like Eric Murray plays. You don't have to look far back. You look at like Trent Baalke's last free agent class. It was a bust. And basically Gladstone was coming in hitting the undo button on all those guys. Yeah. But I think I think those are going to be the two big things that we'll be able to kind of grade him on at the end of this year, because while he's put his fingerprints on this roster, a lot of the roster's still like holdover guys that you can't blame him for or give him too much credit for because they weren't his guys. He kind of just inherited them.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting when T-Mac and I were talking about this yesterday on the show. We landed on essentially the same thing. We just worded it, phrased it kind of different.
Sure.
We landed on, does it work with Travis Hunter?
Yeah.
So that kind of speaks to the rookie class. And the second thing was, how improved is the offensive line?
See, I don't even know if I'm going to give him a ton of credit for Travis Hunter. I mean, he went and made the
move.
He made the move, which was aggressive, but I'll give him more credit. Like if LaQuint Allen plays and he got him in the 7th round, I'm going to give him a whole bunch more credit for that than I'm going to give him for
a ton of credit for that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like if he gets LaQuint Allen right, if he gets Kaiser right, where we're looking at like, man, Kaiser's going to be a starting linebacker or something. If he lands those guys, I'm going to give him more credit for that. If he found an undrafted free agent guy where we're like, oh, he's at least going to make the roster and you feel good about him, you know, just being around, than I will for Travis Hunter. Because I almost put Travis Hunter in, like, remember when we were talking about Trevor Lawrence, where you're like, oh, we can't give Trent credit for Trevor Lawrence. Sure. Like, it's the same thing, except for he just had to make the trade up to go get him. You get credit
for the boldness of the move.
You get credit for that.
Yeah. And you'll be judged harshly, right?
He'll get judged if it doesn't work.
Yeah, like
but
those
if
kind
it
of
works,
things are real.
It's like, you know, okay.
And none of us really have any kind of anticipation of it not working.
No,
you know, necessarily with Travis Hunter right now, because we've been given no indication that it won't to this point. So we'll see on that a little bit. Danton just sent in on the on X. What is the biggest change or improvement that you've seen in the football operations side of things, just based on what you've been able to see in the OTAs?
The biggest change, I think, is something that you won't even necessarily see. It's the communication. The communication between the coaching staff, between the team and the players is different now. I mean, these guys, even when I was talking to players before, you know, the coaches had really got their chance to talk to these guys, like players that had worked with these coaches before, they said, these guys will tell you the truth, tell you what you need to know, and tell you how to fix it. If you want to be good, they'll tell you what you need to work on to be good. And that was something that was lacking here in Jacksonville at times under the last regime, where it wasn't always that clear communication of, hey, look, if you want to be this guy, you want to be the Pro Bowler, that's great, but here's what you need to fix to do it. Oh, you're not playing? Well, here's why I can't. I don't trust you out there. There wasn't that clear communication. This coaching staff, this front office, this football operations, they have a different, layer of I think commitment to these guys, to where, hey, look, I see you. You want to be good. Let me be your accountability buddy on what you need to do to be the player you can be and want to be.
Yeah, I thought it was my favorite moment in the EV podcast was when Baselli was talking about exactly that. Yeah. Like, you could see the player coming out of Baselli. It's like, I'm watching Liam Cohen coach, and he's telling the guys, this is the expectation.
Yep.
Right? Like, he's making it very clear to everyone on the field, this is what I expect out of you, and holding them to that standard as well as you can hold them to that standard in an OTA, like in an NFL offseason. Mm-hmm. He's holding them to the line of, this is what I expect. I need you to meet my expectation today, right now. Right. And it's exactly what you're talking about here. It's making it very clear what we need from you in this moment. This is what we need.
Put it on the table.
Right.
Let the guys know. I think
players react to that stuff.
I think we all do. Yeah. Everybody wants clear communication. You don't like I don't know why this guy doesn't like me. You know, people have done that in whatever field they work in at a job, and the manager just doesn't seem to like me. Well, instead of just communicating like, hey, well, you're not doing this correctly. Mm-hmm. You want to be good at your whatever you're doing.
I'm holding a grudge that you don't know about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that kind of, it's like, we don't need that. Just tell them.
And that's what it's felt like around the Jaguars with some of the previous regime, like coaches along the way, where players are like, I don't know, this guy doesn't like me for something. I just feel like he doesn't like me. Well, put it on the table. What does this guy need to work on? I want to be the best player at my position. Yeah. Okay, well, hey, you're undersized, so if you're going to do that, you need to be this. Yeah. Okay, well, I can go work on that now, because at least you told me.
Right, when you don't, and he's like, I told you I needed this, you didn't give it to me. Right? Like,
exactly.
The lines are clear.
The lines are clear.
Right, and I think as much as anything, that's what players need. They just need clarity.
That's exactly it. I was talking to one of the guys on the Jags, and he was talking about his college coach, and he said, you know, we didn't always see eye to eye, but he was always brutally honest with me. He said, to this day, I'll still text that guy, and, you know, we're talking before minicamp and OTAs, because he always told me what I needed to be, and he made me a better player for it.
Yeah, that is all these guys that had the opportunity to play for Coughlin, that's what you hear.
Yeah.
Right.
Tough love.
It's while I was playing for him, I was like, God, just leave me alone. But then you get done, it's like, man, he helped me.
That's
like,
it.
That's all he was trying to do, is help me. Because all he cared about was helping the team. Like, that was the entire process, was how do I get the team better today? That's how TC looked at it every single day. Before we hit this break, let's say hello to Regina, who's dialed us up at 641-1010. What's going on today, Regina? Duval. Yeah.
I have to get that in. Nice to hear, Jamal. I watch you on Channel 4 News all the time.
Oh, thanks, Regina.
I wanted to ask you, you already mentioned you can't really know what the O-line's like without Pats, but Tommy Mack was saying he saw shades of Trevor that were excellent, and then he saw shades of Trevor like, what's going on? So I wanted to hear your impression. Go Jags!
All right, Regina, thank you for the call. Let's hold that. We'll talk about Trevor Lawrence when we get back here because we haven't yet. And this is a Jaguar show, so we're going to get into Trevor Lawrence today on the program. Thanks for the call, Regina. We got Around the NFL. We'll hit that. We'll talk Trevor Lawrence. On the other side, Jamal St. joining us in studio here for Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Summer days last longer. Does that mean there's more time for 1010XL?
Exactly.
Bingo.
All right.
Keep it cool with 1010XL.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to our website, CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com. And let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Jaguars Today, Thursday.
Brought to you by Cannons of Jacksonville.
You tired of high energy bills? Replace those inefficient windows and patio doors now. Don't miss Renewal by Anderson's 30th anniversary sale. Buy one window or patio door and get one 30% off. Financing options are available and this offer expires June 30th. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Registration is now open for the Circle K Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament. Over $250,000 in cash and prizes available, with payouts up to 20 places. Of course, there's great prizes for lady anglers, and bring along your junior anglers as well. Register today at kingfishtournament.com. Even if you're not on the water, spectators will enjoy fun exhibits, food, kids' activities, and a fireworks display at the Circle K Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament.
To catch more fish, you've got to think like a fish. Captain Kevin and the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show, reeled in by the Pest Pros at Royal Pest Services, and Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Hey, it's Frank Frangie. Look, when it comes to glass needs around the home, there's one name I trust, Lee and Kate's. If
local, family-owned, and they've been part of our community since 1926. They've taken great care of me over the years, and I know they'll do the same for you. Visit LeeandKatesGlass.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal. Pretty nice weather we're having, huh?
You think this is nice?
I mean, it's sunny, warm. We do live in Florida.
It's not all upside, Jason. Warm weather comes, so all the cool people hit the beach. My old air conditioner craps out, so it's 1,000 degrees inside, and I'm stuck on a video call in my underpants trying not to sweat through my...
Wait. Put these sunglasses on.
I'm not going to put on your...
Whoa. The air conditioning experts at Bueller Air and Plumbing can keep your home office cool and comfortable all summer long. You look good in your meeting, impress the big guy with your cool confidence, maybe finally make assistant deputy regional manager.
Wow, air conditioning can do that?
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all summer worried the weather is going to be too nice, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey Jacksonville, it's Dan Hicken with a game changer. I've tested the field, and Checkmate Coatings is my new go-to for durable, jaw-dropping floor coating. Better play, better results.
I'm Brendan with Checkmate Coatings. We coat it all: garages, pool decks, driveways, and patios. Be the envy of your neighbors.
Slam dunk your floors at checkmatecoatings.com. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
David here with Royal Pest Services. It's back. Our summer Centricon Termite Special. New installs begin as low as $249. And if you have existing Centricon, but your renewal is through the roof, we can transfer you to Royal at no cost. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free estimate.
This is your local sports update. I'm RJ Saunders for 1010XL. This update brought to you by Duck Duck Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Jace Richardson is heading from Michigan State to the NBA as the first-round draft pick of the Orlando Magic, selected 25th overall in the 2025 NBA Draft. In his 1 year under head coach Tom Izzo, the 6'1.5" point guard averaged 12.3 points per game to go along with 3 rebounds and 2 assists in over 25 minutes of play, making a team-leading 41.2% of his three-point attempts and shooting 49% overall. The Utah Jazz made a draft night trade to move up a few spots to acquire Florida guard Walter Clayton Jr. with the 18th overall pick in the draft. He averaged 18 points on 45% shooting overall and 38% from 3 last season with the Gators. Currently 87 degrees at 11:01. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Tony Smith, Jamal St. Dylan Denmark here with you. Want to get to answering Regina's question here in just a moment about Trevor Lawrence and what we've seen from him to this point in the offseason, with what you can see, again, this time of year, but just the general impressions of what we were able to see from him. But before we get to that, let's take a look around the rest of the National Football League.
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Seattle is signing quarterback Shaquille Griffin to a 1-year, $3 million deal. Could be worth up to $4 million. And the Tampa Bay Bucks have signed general manager Jason Light and head coach Todd Bowles to contract extensions. The Bucks have won 4 NFC South titles in a row. The last 3 with Bowles as the head coach. Bowles was the team's defensive coordinator for the division crown that they won in 2021. He was also the defensive coordinator for the season before all that when their division title streak began. The Bucks won the Super Bowl the year before all that after finishing second in the division in 2020. Light has been the team's GM since 2014, so they'll try to make it 5 division titles in a row this year with Todd Bowles. They're at the helm. That's a look at what's happening around the National Football League. Now let's get into Trevor Lawrence a little bit with what you can and can't see. Footwork was a big part of the story going into the offseason for Trevor Lawrence. So what could you see, or what did you take away from what you saw from Trevor?
I'm not a footwork guy, so I'm not even gonna begin to like weigh in on where Trevor's feet are, because it would be the most. I'd just be saying things. But as far as Trevor, it was a little up and down, sure, but we also have to take a little bit of it with a grain of salt, because he was just getting back to throwing. He self-admitted hadn't thrown for like 3 months, that he really had just started throwing right before OTAs started because of the shoulder surgery that he had to end last year. So he was really just getting back up to speed. But we also got two other things that you got to throw in there. Brand new offense. So you got to learn what you're doing and where your reads and where your eyes are supposed to be. That's a process. And think about the wide receiver room or his pass catchers. The guys that he would lean on before, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, both gone. Has to learn timing with Travis Hunter. Has to learn timing with De'Ami Brown. Has to learn more timing with Brenton Strange. Because even if you think about it, when Brenton Strange was getting the bulk of his playing time last year, Trevor was banged up.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of newness around him. So I'm willing to give, yes, there were some ups and downs. There was some good where he makes that throw and you go, how did he fit that in there? But that's all. We knew that Trevor has that arm. Like that's never been a question. I can remember his rookie camp where he's making throws and we go, oh man, how do you do that? So we know that's there. And the lows are there, but I'm willing to give him at least a little bit of a grain of salt on the lows. You'd rather see him make the mistakes, the interceptions now than when the games start. And at some point, you have to kind of push the limits of what you know. Where can a guy get, especially when he's trying to learn the timing for a guy. So, like, you're trying to figure out what kind of plays De'Ami or Travis can go and make. Well, you got to put the ball in different places to see if he can go do it, so you feel comfortable doing it when the games roll around, right?
Yeah.
It's practice for a reason.
Yeah. I know a lot of this stuff is unclear because we don't know how improved the offensive line is going to be.
Right.
So we don't know what the answer to that question is, and that directly impacts Trevor Lawrence. I think the group in 2022 was okay, right? And that was enough for them to be successful. Yeah. Okay is enough in the NFL along the offensive line, and there's some hope that they're at least back to okay along the offensive line. We'll see exactly how that's going to work out. I thought, while we were talking offensive line yesterday, we landed, again, you just having the conversation, you come up with a question, you're like, that's a good question. Like, when it comes, like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I'll ask you this question.
Okay. What you got?
Fast forward to the end of 2025.
End of 2025.
So, we've played through this entire season. Assume injuries aren't a factor in any of this. Who is the team's best offensive lineman?
At the end of the season, the team's best offensive lineman, I feel like people are going to be pretty comfortable saying that it's either going to be Walker Little or Wyatt Milam.
Okay. Why those two?
I think Walker Little, we've been waiting for a chance for him to really have what he's getting right now, which is going to be to have a full season under his belt, the opportunity to walk into a training camp as a left tackle, and a chance to roll out. They tried to make him a right tackle, and I mean, self-admitted, he's a left tackle.
He's a left tackle.
He that's what he played his entire life. That's where he's comfortable. Changing the footwork was never natural for him.
Yeah, it's why the conversations here the last couple of years about Anton switching to left is like, but Walker doesn't play right.
But Walker doesn't play right.
So you're not getting your best players even on the field.
You'd have to be saying, we don't want Walker to move Anton to left.
Yeah,
is essentially what you would be saying. I think Walker has a chance to be that, finally getting that opportunity this year.
Okay.
And I say Wyatt Milam because I think moving him inside to guard, I think he has a chance at being really good. The offensive line coach described him as a bull in a china shop right now because he's learning how to play in a phone booth. But I also think the bar is kind of low for entry into this club. I don't think there's some high level guy. Like, I don't think Patrick McCarry, I think, is going to be good. I don't think he's great. I think Anton Harrison, I think we're going to be looking at, I think we're looking at right now whether or not he's your starting right tackle or not. I think we kind of know what Chuma Edoga is going to be if he ends up starting at right tackle. So I think Wyatt Milam really, and Ryan Hainsey, I think he's going to be good. He's fine, but I don't think he's going to be spectacular. I think, going into year two, if Wyatt Milam beats out Ezra Cleveland, like I kind of think he will eventually, I think we're going to be looking at the end of the season like, man, the arrow's pointing up on this guy. I think he might be the Jaguars' best offensive lineman. Either that or Walker Little takes to left tackle, finally gets some stability in his career on the offensive line, and he takes to it like a duck on a pond, and there you go. So I think it's somewhere on that left side of the line.
Yeah, I think Walker, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly what hadn't worked. Right, for Walker Little to this point in his career because physically everything's there.
Well, he hadn't played a lot of college football either. Remember, he was in that COVID bunch.
Injuries,
he had an injury right before it.
Yeah.
So he was kind of he basically hadn't played a lot of football since high school when the Jaguars got him.
And there's something with him where, he was involved in a couple of open competitions for a starting job and he didn't win them.
Right.
And it's hard not to take something away from that.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people can't get over that when they're talking about the evaluation of Walker Little. He is what you would pull out of a mold for left tackle.
That's it.
Right? Like if you designed one, it would look like Walker Little. It doesn't, there is something about the attitude, and that's at least part of the reason why he hasn't won. Those starting competitions, the attitude thing. And there's something about on-field attitude. He never was going to catch Cam Robinson in that regard.
Well, I think there's different kinds of tackles, too.
There obviously is, but it does. I think it feels like you bring in a guy like McCary, and you bring in Hainsey, and you bring in Milam, the attitude, along the potential of all three of those guys starting at left guard, right guard, center. The attitude on the interior of the line, completely different than anything the Jags have had in any recent memory.
Right.
And how much does that rub off on a guy like Walker Little? I don't know, because I haven't seen him play next to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like at any point to this point in his career, I haven't seen him play next to that kind of thing. And I think the other really interesting question along the offensive line, because the head coach opened the door for us to have these kind of conversations. The bye week is halfway through the season.
Yep.
Right? So along these project yourself into the future questions, the Jaguars are coming out of their bye, so it's week 9, week 10 in the season.
Okay. Everyone's
healthy.
Yep.
Who's starting at right tackle?
That's tough. That's tough to say right now. I mean, look, who's starting at right tackle in week 1? I don't think that's locked in. And when your head coach mentions Anton Harrison like that, when he wants to play, he's great. And I think that's something that we've seen though throughout his career of where he's had those ups and those downs. And when I guess when the light's on, but when it's off, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
So the question always is with those kind of guys is, well, is the light going to come on? Is it the system? Is it health? Like we saw him play in his rookie year, and we kind of were willing to say, oh, well, he played with a shoulder injury. It was the shoulder. All right, well, then his second year, it's the same, but it's the same problem, but he doesn't have the shoulder injury for us to say, to write it off with now.
Yeah.
So now he's got some competition in Chuma Edoga, who is a guy who's been around the league. They had kind of looked at him at guard a little bit and then said, let's move you back out here to right tackle because there's a little bit of competition there. And we can't even write off Fred Johnson. Fred Johnson's a guy who's going to be competing to possibly get his name in that conversation for the right tackle spot. I mean, Super Bowl champion, won it with the Eagles as a backup up there. So I don't know that we can lock in who's going to be the starting right tackle for week 1, let alone after the bye week. So I think it's a tough conversation. I think that's one of the spots where there's going to be a tough battle. And it wouldn't surprise me if Anton didn't win it. It wouldn't.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when we had D-Rock in with us last week, and he talked about the grade on whatever ESPN's using for their grading for offensive linemen.
Sure.
For Anton was the same. Year 1, year 2, nothing changed in his grade. I think our expectation for Anton was year 2 after being, if I had asked that question after year 1, we all knew Anton was the best offensive lineman on the team.
Right.
Like that was everyone's answer to that kind of question, and he will be here for a while. It's just a matter of whether he'll be doing it at left or right tackle. Like those were the conversations we were having with Anton. Well, he didn't get better in year 2. And when there's the expectation for you to get better and you don't, everyone goes, well, he got worse. And he didn't really get worse. He just didn't get better.
Right.
And everyone's waiting for that. When is the next step going to come for Anton? And when the head coach, this is also it's interesting to me when I ask that kind of question, who's going to be the best offensive lineman at the end of 2025? If I asked that question a month ago, virtually everyone says Anton. right?
Yeah.
Like, I think the coach being willing to question a player of that kind of caliber on the roster right now puts everyone in a headspace going, what's going on with Anton?
Right.
Right? Everyone's asking that. What's going on with Anton? And none of us really have any idea. And it may just be the coaches see it and say, we need to buzz this guy.
Yeah.
Right? We need him to wake up a little bit with what we are going to, again, standards. This is what we need out of you. Can you meet what we need?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the coach being willing to use the microphone, which he's not doing with anybody else. Right? It's only with Anton to this point that he's pushing that button. With this kind of thing, he may see a player that needs that button pushed. And what that's going to be, who knows?
Hey, some guys need that wake-up call a little bit. And to your point earlier, you were talking about the interior of the offensive line, that attitude that they kind of have brought in the way they've built this thing.
Yeah.
Anton's more along the attitude line of Walker Little than he is those like gritty, grindy, play wherever, just put me on the field kind of guys.
Never had to win the job. To this point, it's been his job.
To this point, it's been his job. It's kind of been handed to him. He's not like one of the things that kept Cam Robinson around is they loved his attitude. He doesn't have that Cam Robinson grit grind attitude either. Neither does Walker Little. They both have similar enough. Like I'm gonna go take care of my business as a professional, but not necessarily that guy across from me, I'm gonna whoop him. Not that. They don't have that attitude.
Yeah. Sheriff had it to some degree.
Yeah, when he was healthy.
When he was healthy, right?
Which was few and far between here.
But Cam Robinson was the guy that was going to clean up the pile.
Oh, he was the guy, we said it last year when Trevor got the hit against the Texans. If Cam was on the field, security would have had to come down there because he was going to clear it out. He was going to protect his quarterback.
Yeah. And it had to be Evan Ingram.
It had to be Evan Ingram.
Coming back to protect the quarterback. That's kind of I don't know what the dividends are going to be for the attitude in that regard changing on the football. We can't know.
You don't.
Exactly what that's going to be. But I feel like it's changed. You bring in the guys they're bringing on the offensive line, the attitude's going to change. And it does feel like there's going to be those guys pulling the personalities of Walker Little and Anton Harrison to say, meet my energy now. Like, they're going to demand it of these guys, it feels like. Are they willing to meet that demand?
Look at all the guys they've brought in under Gladstone and Cohen. Jordan Lewis.
Yeah.
I mean, he is going to talk his trash. He is going to set a tone. He has an expectation of not just himself, but the guys around him, and he's going to let it be known that this is what we're doing. We're going to be a tough defense out there. They've brought in those vocal kind of guys that are going to set this attitude. Eric Murray isn't exactly quiet. De'Ami Brown has no back down in him as far as talking. Even Travis Hunter is going to talk a little bit. So they've brought in a bunch of these guys that have this kind of grit, grind, okay, that guy across from me, he about to get it kind of attitude, because they said, look, we're going to set a tone. And they've brought in guys that are going to help set that tone so far.
Yeah, you mentioned we know Walker Little's likely to start at left tackle. No one's locked in necessarily with these things, but the expectation being that Walker Little will start at left tackle. Left guard, do you think Milam does enough to win that job?
I think Milam's your starter at left guard.
Okay.
At least I think by week one, he's your starter.
Robert Hainsey at center.
Yeah.
Obviously, McCary, I would assume at that point, is your right guard.
Yep.
And then Anton, we can write it in pencil.
We can write it in pencil. I think Chuma Edoga's your guy that's right on his heels, nipping at it. It wouldn't be surprising to me if I shifted on that a week or two into training camp and said, "Oh, there it is." The question is, does he wake up? Did he get the wake up call on the alarm clock that Cohen just sent out to the world for him or not? But Edoga's a guy that I think there's something to be said for that steady Eddie veteran. They know exactly what they're going to get from Chuma Edoga if they put him out there on the field at right tackle. And there's something for that consistency.
Let's talk a little bit about the offensive backfield here when we get back and what the expectation should be for each of these guys, right? As we got four guys that could all have big roles potentially in this backfield. So it's interesting to try to figure out the head games. That's exactly how any of this is going to work out. Again, none of these questions can be answered till they start popping.
Right.
And we're only a few weeks away from that happening. But right now, we will guess, along with everybody else, about what that might look like as we continue along. Jamal St's here, joining us here on this Thursday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here for Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacksonville Beach. Is your roof hurricane ready? Now's the time to find out. Rainy season is no joke. Apex, though, is local. They're dependable. They show up on time with premium materials, ironclad warranties. No stress, no shortcuts, only quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak. Apex Roofing and Contracting, again, right here in Jacksonville Beach or online at apexroofingfl.com.
Jaguars Today. For the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. 1010XL.
This is the playmaker and three-time Super Bowl champion, Michael Irvin. And you are listening to 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Superstation.
Yo, it's your main man E.T. here for Explore Clay. And Clay County is your destination this 4th of July. Start the morning with the Freedom 5K in Keystone Heights. Medals for the first 300 finishers and a scenic course through the shaded neighborhoods. Then enjoy the 57th annual celebration at City Hall with vendors, live music, and family fun. Wrap up the day at Moose Haven in Orange Park for the American Pride 4th of July, a free Riverside event with food, live entertainment, and fireworks over the St. Johns River. Discover more at exploreclay.com.
Got a leaky faucet, AC blowing hot air, a funky smelling septic tank? No worries, Duck Duck Rooter has your back. We're your one-stop shop for plumbing, septic, and air conditioning, so you can stop juggling 3 companies and just make one easy call. Our expert techs are fast, friendly, and really know their ducks. I mean stuff. Call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter, plumbing, septic, AC, and a whole lot of quacking good service.
Maxed out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Prosser here. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan Program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. That's Loan Pronto. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is an A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Call now and start the conversation. Go to loanpronto.com or call 999-1508. That's loanpronto.com.
You're locked in to Jaguars Today Thursday with Cannons of Jacksonville.
Man, I can't wait for Saturday. I'm going to the Jacksonville Axemen Rugby League game. They're playing the Southwest Florida Copperheads, and it's going to be good.
Rugby league is crazy. No pads or helmets. No, that's a real contact sport. Count me in.
Join the ratified credit union Jacksonville Axemen as they take on the Copperheads at the UNF Turf Field this Saturday at 7. Tickets start at $10 and kids under 12 are free at jacksaxe.com.
Are you struggling with hair loss? At IHRS, we understand because we've been there too. We're dedicated to finding the best solution tailored just for you.
My hair looks great. It was thinning, and IHRS restored my hair.
It's now fuller, it's thicker, voluminous. It's made me feel great.
With the latest technology and FDA-approved laser therapy, PRP, and non-surgical hair addition, we offer guaranteed solutions for men and women.
With over 35 years of experience, IHRS found a hair restoration for us, and we can find one for you.
For me.
For me.
And me too.
Visit hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. Get a free microscopic analysis and get to the root of your problem. This $395 analysis is yours for free. Call 904-777-4477 now.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
If you miss an interview, it'll be waiting for you on demand.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Search where you find podcasts. And at 1010XL.com. Trained by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck.
Born in Jacksonville, raised on Southern Rock, and coming home to the Florida Theater, it's Molly Hatchet. Saturday, June 28th. Get your fill of Southern Rock fury. Grab your seat at floridatheater.com. It's a hometown homecoming with Molly Hatchet.
Need the right tools for the job without the full-time price tag? Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach is what you need when you need it. From heavy machinery for commercial projects to weekend projects at the house, we've got you covered. We've been serving Jacks for 50 years. Visit Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach, just behind Aqua East Surf Shop, or call today. We also have event rentals too. Tucker Equipment Rentals. Tools you need without the price tag of purchasing.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Tony Smith, Jamal St. Dylan Denmark here with you as we continue to talk Jaguars football here on the show. We've had a couple of people ask this kind of question on the text line. Who are some of your go-to guys, your favorite players to cover right now on the current team?
Favorite players to cover, I think De'Ami Brown is immediately in the list now. I've talked to him once, and I was like, oh, I like this guy. Jarian Jones is flat out hilarious. One of my favorite guys to talk to.
Yeah.
There's definitely no dull moment there. I mean, the Jaguars have a lot of guys. I like talking with Foye Oluokun. He's a hoops guy, so we'll dive into college basketball when that starts to heat up a little bit. So there's a handful of guys that are always just fun. And Travis Etienne, I like talking with him too. He's always fun.
Speaking of Travis Etienne,
all right,
as I teased before we went into the break, going to talk running back position here. I mentioned that we did a couple weeks ago starting jobs that'll be open on the team. None more open than running back, right, for this football team. There's some spots that'll be open, but none more than running back. And there are 4 guys that are going to have sizable roles.
Yes.
It feels like on this football team at this point. So I have become more and more convinced that I think what it's going to be is hot hand week to week is how this is eventually going to work out. And someone will get the first carry, but they may not be the guy that gets 15 that day.
Maybe.
Right? Like that's where I think it's ultimately going to land. I think that the team and the coaching staff wants it to be Tootin sooner rather than later, that they're going to be featuring in the offense. I think that's what their desire is for that. But he has to show, again, those couple things that I mentioned that LaQuinn Allen already seems to have.
Right.
Right? He protects the ball, and he's the best pass blocker among the group. And I think players like Allen who have those two skills, they're only going to see their opportunities expand. I think he may start with a small piece of the pie, but I think it's only going to get bigger. And then you have to determine, well, who are we taking food away from? You know, and I think because of the short-term nature of ETN and how much Tootin kind of mirrors what ETN gives you, that's where it's likely to come from. And because of their preference for Tootin, that would mean you're taking more away from ETN. It's going to be taken away, in my mind, than any other of the other backs on the team. Bigsby's a little bit different because he is kind of the bigger body guy for the football team. I think Tootin's the guy that they want, and I think Allen's the guy that's got the two things that you have to have your running back have.
Yep.
So I think ETN's going to be drawing the short straw, whatever that looks like. I'm not saying he's not going to play, but I think he's going to be the guy that, in whatever this 4-man team is, eventually it's the guy that's drawing the short straw more often than the other 3 guys.
I think it's going to be tough to determine just how this thing's going to play out. I really do. I think that they have a good problem of having 4 running backs that you feel pretty good about that they really like. Tank, Travis, LaQuinn Allen, and then Bashal Tootin. It wouldn't surprise me if Tootin basically had a redshirt year.
Okay.
It would not surprise me with that at all. Just because I think you're married to ETN for one more year. I think they're going to give him an opportunity to play and earn a spot. I think the rookie that's going to have the bigger impact this year that I feel comfortable saying is LaQuint Allen, because of exactly what you said. He's such a good pass blocker. He's so good at catching the ball. And that's something that
he's the third down back, if nothing else.
He's the third down back, if nothing else, because that's what Tank Bigsby struggled at. That's something that Travis Etienne has struggled at. You know what this guy's going to bring. I mean, think about last year when Dearness Johnson was getting meaningful snaps in passing situations because they felt the most comfortable with him as being your pass blocking back. So immediately that tells you they were willing to put, and Dearness was fine, but he wasn't. He's not some guy that scares defenses.
No, it tells you how little they were getting from the other two guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think LaQuint Allen immediately can kind of walk into that role. So I think he's going to make the biggest impact. Tootin has a tough road to get to get on the field because he's got to beat out either Etienne or Tank to really start getting those snaps, and I think that's going to be tough. Because I think Tank and Etienne, barring injury, obviously, I think both of them are going to be big roles on this offense. Like I look at what Liam Cohen did in Tampa last year, and I keep going to, I think Tank Bigsby's your Bucky Irving. Bucky was a lot in the backfield. He was getting the handoffs. He was doing a lot of the work there. And I think Tank's going to give you that. Well, I think Etienne's going to give you a lot of what that Rachaad White role was, which was Rachaad was in the slot a lot. They'd pull him in motion. They'd still give him the ball, but he's lining up in kind of different formations and capacities. So I think that's what it's going to look like in my mind right now from what I've seen. So we'll see how it all shakes out, but I think those are the two guys. It wouldn't surprise me if Tootin kind of almost redshirted. He gets a little bit here and there, maybe fill in for injury kind of stuff, but I don't know if he starts a game this year.
That's interesting.
I mean, I think it's just a tough road. Because I think ultimately, if I'm right with how I'm laying it out, you want Tootin to replace your Bucky Irving role, which is you got to beat out Tank, which I think is going to be tough. I think you give Tank some work. I think Tank's going to get rolling a little bit.
Yeah, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago while we were having this. The running back conversation is not done, and it won't be done for quite a while for this football team. I don't even know that it'll ever be done at any point in 25, right? Like, it's one of these things that could carry out, but I did think it was interesting looking, as you mentioned, back at what Tampa did with their guys last year in Bucky Irving and Rachaad White. Rachaad started 15 of the 16 games he played, right? But he's not, and he had about 60 carries less, about in that kind of range than Bucky Irving when everything was said and done. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's very similar to how this thing works out, despite the fact that while that was happening, Bucky Irving was clearly the more explosive player. Like, he was the better of the receiving options. It felt like between the two of those guys to me. Like, there were a lot of things that Bucky was the better player, but it never stopped them from splitting it up. And part of that is that was a team that was getting ready to make the playoffs and knew we can't just run one guy into the ground necessarily. We may need him when we get to January. Who knows if the Jaguars are going to be in that kind of position or not this season. But that is interesting that you mentioned the potential for kind of a redshirt year for Tootin.
I think it's just going to be tough for him to unseat those guys. I think you have Travis Etienne on that fifth-year option, so you're married to him for one season.
That's
There's
a guy
so much money.
That you can run into the ground.
That's a guy that you can run into the ground because you're probably not re-signing him, and he's going to get paid one way or another, and we know like dollars tend to get you on the field in the NFL. You can run him into the ground and move on with life. Tank, I think, is a guy that if you give the opportunity, and his running style is a little bit different than Tootin or Etienne. He's the one like real power running back in this like in the four. So I think that's a guy that's going to be tougher to unseat. So when I look at that combination between the two, unless one of them's just playing really poorly or Tootin's just that dynamic, it's going to be tough for him to get on the field. So I think it's a challenge, and it wouldn't surprise me if they played the long game. Injuries happen at running back. There's no question that maybe one of them gets banged up. All of a sudden the door opens, Tootin runs through it, and then we never look back. But I think it's going to be tough for him to do that. Just because I really think you got Etienne on this last year where you're like, hand him the ball. Let's let him work. And you got Tank, who's the different guy out of the four.
I think we got one more segment to go here. I don't want to go through this whole thing without mentioning a couple of guys to get your reaction to the expectations for him coming in this year. Definitely want to talk about Brenton Strange and what is fair to expect out of him with his role expanding here in this offense, and Josh Hines-Allen and what exactly should be, again, kind of the expectation for him going into this season after a disappointing statistical year from him last year, if nothing else. He only gets the 8 for Josh Hines-Allen. So obviously there are high expectations year to year for Josh. He's put those upon himself. You get 17.5. You know, everyone expects what they expect, right, out of Josh Hines-Allen. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Strange before we end it today. Jamal St. Cyr, kind enough to join us for the program today. If you have any questions for him, send them in on X. We'll try to get in a few more of those as well before we wrap it up. You're listening to a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Turn on the radio.
In your car, 92.5 FM and 1010 AM.
Would you like to drive for a while?
In your house, at the beach, on your phone, at the gym, on vacation, out of town.
Well, everyone knows that.
Download our free 1010XL app for all smart devices. Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental, with light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
We've all seen great overtime games and thrilling finishes, but when it comes to having a big time, knowing when to say when is key. Budweiser reminds you to win the day and night by designating a driver. That's a victory every time.
Your home is your sanctuary where memories are made. Jack's homeowners trust Superior Fence and Rail to make their home feel safe, secure, and complete. Imagine a classic wood fence for privacy, sturdy aluminum to protect your pets, or a modern vinyl design that boosts curb appeal. Every fence is built with precision and pride, standing strong in every season.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Power bill just went up again? Why keep paying more? Clay Solar can wipe that electric bill out. Right now, they'll cover your first 6 months' payments. Visit claysolar.com today to schedule your free consultation. claysolar.com.
Jaguars Today Thursday, brought to you by Cannons of Jacksonville.
Let's go ahead and dial it.
Dial what?
When you call in your opinion or hear an interesting interview from a sports insider on Jaguars Today or XL Primetime, you're getting it straight from the Checkmate Coatings phone line all day, every day on 1010XL.
If golf is your thing, you'll want to check out the 2025 Hills Pass at Hidden Hills Golf Club. Unlimited golf, including golf car, and preferred tee times for just one low price. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com to purchase your Hills Pass today.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. You've heard me talk about the Rolex my grandfather gave me for graduating from college, but there's something else you need to know about Rolex watches from an official Rolex jeweler for over 60 years. If you own a Rolex, probably today more than ever before, if you need that Rolex serviced, you should only visit an official Rolex jeweler. In North Florida, there are 4, with Underwood's 3 stores, and Mayors has 1. Anybody else claiming to work on Rolex has no direct access to parts, and the use of non-authentic Rolex parts jeopardizes your Rolex from both an authenticity and a value standpoint. At Underwoods, we have state-of-the-art Rolex repair shops, both designed and outfitted by Rolex and staffed by Rolex watch technicians trained by Rolex. And best of all, our shop is on premise, so your Rolex will never leave Jacksonville, and our Rolex repairs carry a 2-year warranty. at Underwoods in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Millard Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Millard Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Millard Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Millard Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Denny Thompson here. You got to check out Tyson's Showroom Home Theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. I can stay there to watch all my games. It's that comfortable. Call Tyson today and bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming, Iowa.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Talking Jaguars football with Jamal St. on the program this morning. Robert just sent in on X, and I think this is a pretty good one. Who will be the most improved player from last year on the Jaguars this season?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Most improved from last year?
Yep.
Give me Tyson Campbell.
Okay.
I think Tyson has been banged up the past couple of years. I think he's going to get back to playing the football that we saw from him. I guess it was 3 years ago at this point, where people had him in the conversation as one of those rising,
awesome.
rising top corners in the league. I think Tyson's going to have a good year. Knock on wood, as long as he's healthy.
Tyson is. He was one of those guys. We were talking during the break about Josh Hines-Allen and my history with Josh. The listeners know, like, I've been on the Josh Hines-Allen train for a while.
Yeah.
Here, when he got the contract extension, I haven't backed off this yet, despite only the 8 sack season. I said it when he signed it. He's going to wind up the best defensive player in franchise history.
Ooh, okay.
And I still believe that. It's not that he took a big step towards that last year, but I still believe that about Josh Hines-Allen.
Who would you say is the best defensive player in franchise history right now?
Rasheed Mathis or Tony Brackens.
Yeah, got to be one of the two.
And Calais Campbell gets a vote, but he wasn't here very long.
Right. He didn't have the tenure. If he'd have stayed a little bit longer.
And Donovan Darius gets some love.
Sure.
In that kind of regard. But
Well, he's going to break Brackens' record probably. Yeah. Not probably. He's going to break it this year.
He's going to break that this year. He had a chance to break it last year.
Yeah.
Just didn't get there. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Rasheed.
Okay.
As the best defensive player in history.
Yeah.
In the franchise's history. And part of that's the longevity of it. He was here a little bit longer than T-Brack was. T-Brack has been long considered the best pass rusher that the team has had.
Yeah,
essentially.
Sure. No brainer.
And Calais, if Calais had spent 6 years here, he would have all these numbers.
It would be different. Yes.
But it's just the 3 years here, and it is funny, even looking at, my gosh, the guy's getting ready to basically play 20 years in the league and hadn't slowed down at all.
At all.
Like, it's nuts. But you go and look at his career, the only place in his career he's had double-digit sacks is here.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that. Okay.
This is the only spot.
That's why he's the mayor.
Part of it was he was playing defensive end in a 3-4.
Yeah.
Until he got signed here, he was playing defensive end in a 3-4, and the Jaguars said, we're going to let you play 4-3 end. and get after the passer. And he said, all right, 15.
Right.
Defensive player of the year kind of thing. And did want to, like I said, there's a couple guys that I think if you're going to have broad Jaguars conversations, you got to get to.
Yeah.
And we've talked about Trevor Lawrence. The other guy is Josh Hines-Allen, and I am and have been a big supporter of Josh, right? Like, I have super high expectations from him, and he didn't meet them last year. I'm not as upset with him about having not met it last year as many people seem to be with Josh Hines-Allen, because I focus in on him on pretty much every defensive snap when the Jags are playing, and I'm watching him, and I'm like, he's there. He's there. He's there. Like, I felt like I said that 30 times last year when the play wasn't at him.
Right.
It's like, he's there. He's there. And it happened the way it happened. They got no support in the middle, so he gets there. The guy steps up. It doesn't look like anything, but it's like he did his job on the play, but he doesn't get credit for that kind of thing. I think no player on the roster will benefit more from them changing the defensive coordinator than Josh Hines-Allen.
Yeah. Look, I'm with you. I think Josh doesn't get enough credit sometimes. I think there's times where I've seen people bashing him for things out on the field, and then you go and really look at it and you say, oh, he was trying to cover for somebody else who didn't necessarily do their job.
Dealt with that forever.
Right. So I think Josh is really good. I think Josh is going to benefit a lot from some of the changes. Like, we talked about some of the new additions today, and one of them that I think we gloss over a lot is Emmanuel Ogbah, and actually having a guy who can rotate in and give you a little bit of juice. I think that's going to benefit Josh too, keeping him fresh and making sure that, on those third down, money downs, you got a defensive coordinator that's going to put you on the field and let you go and make a play and make an impact so he can pin his ears back and go get those numbers and be the guy that he wants to be. He's also talked about dropping the weight as opposed to playing at a heavier weight where the last coaching staff wanted him to be last season. So he's back to that more comfortable dynamic weight. Look, I think Josh is going to have a big year. I don't know if it's a 17.5 sack year, but I think he's back in the double digits.
Yeah, those are pretty rare.
Yeah, those are tough to do, and especially when he's racing a guy like Trayvon keeps taking steps forward too in his career. So it's more of a race to the quarterback now at this point.
Yeah, and talking about the pass rush, how about we make this, Dylan, our 10-10 take today?
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
Josh had that 17.5 sack season when the guy with the third most sacks on the team that year had 3.5. Right? That was Roy Robertson Harris.
That's it.
Had 3.5 that season. Trayvon was his kind of running mate. So, Jamal, who finishes third on the team this year in sacks, and what do you think that number is?
Third on the team in sacks. Give me Emmanuel Ogbah and give me 6.5.
6.5.
6.5. Yeah, I think Ogbah's going to be a big addition. I mean, it's the first time since Arden Key that we've had a third edge player that you feel pretty comfortable with.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be right there in the running.
I will not take this Eric Armstead slander.
Is it slander? I didn't say Eric was going to be bad. I just don't know he's going to get you 6.5.
No, what I mean is it's been a long time since they've had a third edge rusher.
I cringed watching him at edge last year. Every time he was on the field, I was like, put Josh or Trayvon back in, please.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, no.
That was their plan.
It was a bad plan.
And it was their plan on important third downs that we're going to have Armstead on the field.
Oh, my goodness.
To rush the passer. It's like, okay, well, he can rush the passer. Can he do it from the inside?
That's it. Put him at defensive tackle where he's going to be this year and where he says he wanted to play last year. So we'll see. I think Armstead's going to be much improved. Even Mason Smith, he was one of the guys who's kind of running through my head when you start asking that question, because I think Mason's going to take a jump this year. He kind of had started taking those steps forward late in last season.
Yeah.
So I think he's a guy who could easily get 4 or 5 sacks over the course of the year.
Who do you see as their nose?
As their nose? I think right now it's Devon. Right now it's Devon Hamilton. We'll see if he can ultimately hold on to it, but that's the guy right now that's the kind of shoe-in for that spot. And they don't really have any other guys with that same body type. So
Devon's kind of an odd one. He's a player without a position in a lot of ways to me because he's kind of between a nose and a 3 technique. Like in my head when I watch him, and I've thought that since he was a young player and they started putting him in there as a nose, I was like, yeah, but he's not. Like, and when they would play him at 3 tech, he was a more effective player at 3 technique, but then the back stuff happened a couple years ago, and he hadn't been the same guy since.
Hasn't.
And I do think it's pretty open as to the competition between Devon and Jordan Jefferson, I think could be open, right? As far as who's going to win that opportunity, especially for when you're looking for a role, right? We need you to be the big 2-down run stuffer. That's what we need from one of those guys. You're here to stop the run.
That's job.
You're here to eat up 2 blockers, stop the run. And which of those guys shows that they're more effective doing that in training camp is a big battle, I think, going into this thing here in a couple weeks. Before we put a bow on this edition of Jaguars Today, let's say hello to Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Taylor Dahl, hello.
Hello. I saw you bop. That's a good little jingle, isn't it? I saw you bopping around a little bit.
Start bopping. Okay, that's catchy. Come on now.
Yeah. It's not bad. I know I asked Lauren this question yesterday, and I've already asked Jamal this question today as well. Fast forward into 2025. We've played the season. Injuries are not a part of this. Everyone's healthy coming out of the year. Who is the team's best offensive lineman?
That's good. Do I say who I hope, or do I?
Who do you think? You can give us both. Who do you think it will be? Who do you think you hope it will be?
Okay, I think it will be Walker Little.
Okay.
I hope it's Wyatt Milam.
Okay.
My reason for that is I'm not incredibly high on the interior of the offensive line, even with the moves they made in free agency, and I do like Milam. So to me, if Milam is your best offensive lineman, wherever he is, but interiorly especially, then that means, number one, you drafted right. And number two, then it was a true competition in that interior, and he beat somebody out who's been in the league for a little while, so I think that would be a positive for me. I would look at it as okay, this offensive line's improved. And if he's not, then I'm not quite sure I believe that the offensive line's as improved as I would like it.
I appreciate you even mentioning one of the offensive tackles as an answer to that question. What do you got coming up today on Helmets and Heels?
Yeah, so we are there was an article posted ranking the GMs and the NFL. They had the rankings, and then afterwards, the new general managers, so James Gladstone's not kind of included technically in those rankings, but they did have some interesting things to say about what James Gladstone did this offseason. So we're going to get into some of that stuff. We also have our highlights, which it's pretty much baseball season right now. So we'll probably talk a little bit of baseball. And then we also are talking to Preston Guy. He covers LSU Tigers for Tiger Bait, because we're doing a little look around college football right now and some of the expectations of those SEC quarterbacks or local quarterbacks coming out of Florida. So, yeah, a little bit of college football, a little bit of baseball, a little bit of NFL.
All right, we'll be listening.
Thank you.
All right, have a good show. Helmets and Heels coming up next here. Jamal, thank you so much. I think it was a successful first time.
Hey, I'm glad you had me on. This was a fun. I think, it's been fun getting into the Jaguar Today family a little bit more, and I'm glad you got to let me come hang out in the studio a little bit.
What do you got coming up on Channel 4?
Hey, we're just batting down the hatches and counting down to training camp like everybody else right now. Yeah. That's the hard part. It's like, is it here yet? Are we there yet?
Yeah, we got to get through the next few weeks.
I know.
And then we'll be in the heat of it, and then it goes quick.
And that's the fun part is once it gets there, it's like a whirlwind, and then you look up and you're like, it's over already?
Yeah. Yeah, the NFL season comes and goes quickly, and then you're like, what happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a long one this year, though. Hopefully we're going into like late January, February.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
And hopefully they're just playing games that matter at the end of November.
Well, I'll take that too.
Right? Like we said, standards. You gotta
take steps forward.
Right.
I jumped.
Right.
You're taking the right steps.
Right. Well, it's the NFL. Your job is to win the Super Bowl. Whether or not you get there or not, who knows? We'll see what this team does. So thank you again to Jamal St. for coming in with us for the show today. Welcome back, Dylan Denmark, for an on assignment. Mike Dempsey, I'm Tony Smith. Helmets and Heels coming up next on 1010XL.
The Maxwell